All right, we're live. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on this live episode of Old Reader, New Reader. I am Omar, your host. I have been reading comic books for 35 years plus. And my co-hosts are 35 years. Maddie and Amanda.
Hello.
And Maddie and Amanda have both been reading comics for about a year.
Well, not as long, but
all right, Maddie has been reading comic books for about a year.
yes.
Am I wrong? Am I right? Right, Maddie?
You're right.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. All right. So today we are going to be talking about this behemoth, Planet Hulk. This is the omnibus, but both of them have read everything within here. This has the prelude, the really stupid prelude with Daniel Way's writing, and the Fantastic Four stuff, and of course the Planet Hulk stuff. So that is what we're going to be talking about today. And just ahead of time, there will be spoilers. So if you have not read this, hit that pause button and come back after you've read it, if you want to. If you have read it, then please join us, and then we'll have a live chat. And I will keep an eye on that while these two lovely ladies get started. Maddie, are you done snacking?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Why don't you go first?
I'm ready to go.
What did you think about? Let's talk about the preludes first, like the Fantastic Four issues by JMS Straczynski, and then the Daniel Way stuff that leads up to Planet Hulk. Oh yeah, and the Illuminati issue 1. We'll talk about that. Mm-hmm. How did you feel about those books? What did you think about the FF issues and leading up to the Planet Hulk stuff?
I really liked it. I mean, it was interesting for it to set the scene and the motivation for everything. Because if I had gone on just to read, I'm glad that we read that first. Because if I had just read like the Hulk and Planet Hulk stuff, I would have been pretty confused as to why they would do that. But I really liked it. Some of it I was a little confused by, like the little short stories that we kind of talked about before we shot this, or before we started recording. Some of the characters I was confused by, the ones that everything that wasn't Amadeus Cho, I was a little confused. But as far as the Fantastic Four stuff, it was pretty interesting because I haven't read a bunch about them really. Like all of these characters, I don't really, besides the movies, I don't know much about. So I liked it.
Okay. Amanda, what did you think about the prelude stuff? Yeah,
I agree with her. The Amazing Fantasy issue that we read, number 15, is that which one it was?
Amazing Fantasy 15 is the first appearance of Spider-Man. No.
Okay. Well, whichever one we read, that one except for Amadeus Cho, and I think the reason that turned around for me because I ended up buying the paperback Planet Hulk, and they had like a back end issue with him in it, and that helped explain his role, but the other ones I was confused. But I loved seeing the Fantastic Four. I think I told you how I was like, man, I wish they would just do a movie right, because I like this group and I like this little family, and I thought that was interesting seeing their dynamics. So I liked seeing the Fantastic Four in it. And since I'd already read New Avengers and Infinity, seeing the Illuminati in action, like that was pretty interesting to me too. I like that.
Yeah, that whole little crew was really cool.
Yeah.
Like just to see them like hang out.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool to have them do a story where, you know, the kids, Valeria and
Franklin
Richards are, you know, the government stepping in saying they're in danger, and the
yeah,
you know, and the Richards are like, okay, sure, yeah, you can take them, but under one, you know, stipulation.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool that they showed them like within 30 minutes or so.
The house, the safe house.
Yeah.
Only 2 people knew about this secret location, and the house gets bombed. And Mr. Fantastic's like, see, bitches, I told you, they're cool here.
Yeah.
This is what we do.
They're safest with us. They know that we're here.
Yeah, this is what we do. So why not keep them here with their mom and their dad?
Exactly.
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like seeing the Thing fight the Hulk too, because I was always wondering, besides Thor, or, you know, who else can really go up against the Hulk? So it was good to see that.
Well, even just like the way that he can identify with the Hulk.
Yes.
And seeing his sort of inner thoughts about that was really appealing and really kind of touching, because he's like, no, he's a monster too. We're both monsters. like, I'm the only one who can fight him. I'm the only one who can handle him. I'm also the only one who really understand what he's going through.
Yeah.
And I really like that.
The underlying theme of the entire thing. We're all monsters.
Right, yeah.
Monsters.
Wow, you guys are digging deep into that 3-issue story. Awesome.
Well, no, not just that. We're just talking about then the rest of Planet Hulk. I mean, it's a reoccurring theme about monsters.
Yeah.
So that sets up the prelude to Planet Hulk, which is really, I think it was like 4 or 5 issues that apparently they had nothing planned, and they were like, okay, somehow we got to get the Hulk up in space so that we could use it as a plot device to get the Illuminati to betray him. So that's done by Daniel Way. It's written by Daniel Way. I really, really liked the art, though. The art was really good, and I can't remember who did that. K. Chow, I think. I thought that art was really good in the Hulk issues written by Daniel Way.
Okay.
No, the art in Planet Hulk is amazing. I've always been a big fan of Aaron.
Yes.
But this art right here I thought was pretty good. And that was the only good thing about this, because you could totally skip this prelude to Planet Hulk and just read Illuminati #1, which we can talk about. So Illuminati #1. The Illuminati was something I never really enjoyed from the Marvel Universe. I thought it was a silly idea that this secret organization has existed since the beginning of the Marvel Universe, or since the beginning, I guess, of the Silver Age. Some guys really dig it, and I think this is one of the best things to come out of that story, out of the Illuminati story. So pretty much, they find out that the Hulk has smashed Vegas again, and they're like, okay, this is one of those things that I was saying. It was really stupid. It's like, how many times has the Hulk smashed these cities and nobody's done anything? And then this one time, he smashes a few casino slots and runs over somebody's dog or whatever. They're like, okay, it's time to send him up to space. So yeah, they put him on a space shuttle and off he goes. Not before this Kevin Spacey Namor has a fight with Tony Stark.
Yeah.
But yeah, they shoot him up to space.
Like Kevin Spacey?
Totally. So then they shoot Hulk up to space, and they're like, hey, Hulk, you're our boy, but you gotta go. Like, we're taking you to space. You're gonna go on a planet that it's uninhabited, and there's life there, or no, there's no life there, so nobody can bug you. It's what you've always wanted. And instead, he goes through a giant wormhole, and he ends up on this planet. And I will let you ladies take over from there. That is where Planet Hulk begins. Who wants to go first?
Well, sure. What do you want to talk about first?
Planet Hulk.
Just in general?
Yeah. We'll talk about the first part of Planet Hulk. Okay. But what did you think about it, as this is your first taste of a Hulk story? What did you think?
Sure. I was surprised by how much I could understand the Hulk. See, my only experience of the Hulk is Hulk smash. That's my Hulk.
Yeah.
But hearing him speak full sentences and be coherent, that was new for me. And obviously right away I saw so much of Ragnarok when they're on Sakaar. So that was really fun for me too. To see Korg not as a Taika Waititi character.
Right.
Interesting. And seeing Meek, who had that agency that he did not have in Ragnarok. I really enjoyed seeing all the characters. I liked the artwork in that first half, and I just liked seeing how the Hulk, becomes Green Scar, which, yeah, we'll talk about the vines and stuff that grows up from his blood, because I'm still a little confused about all that. But yeah, I liked how, I don't know, Hulk is just a fighter and he's a monster, and he just, becomes a savior. He doesn't even intend on it. I think that's interesting.
So it's really interesting going into this after seeing Thor Ragnarok, and it would have been interesting to see what I would have thought about it had I not.
Yeah.
But I do think it just added to it. And similarly, has Hulk always been? I mean, can he always just talk normally? Is that something?
I don't know. I mean, in the movies, he doesn't really have
so is that like a
agency? Yeah.
I mean, it depends. During this time, the important thing is that this is Smart Hulk. There are different storylines where he's, dumb Hulk, but just super, super strong. And he's usually gray in those storylines. Peter David developed this idea that the dumber Hulk is, the stronger he is, and that's usually when he's colored gray. And all he was doing is just
Okay.
retconning because an artist accidentally colored him green in one issue instead of gray. So then that established that, and then
Okay.
and then Banner and him kind of, I can't remember the issue. It's one of Peter David's. I want to say 300 maybe, or 400. It's where kind of Bruce Banner and Hulk become almost one, and Hulk and Banner decide to share the Hulk body.
Okay.
Because there's been different characters like what's his name, Mr. Fix-It, where he's gray and super smart, but no, and then Maestro Hulk. But during this time, it's just Smart Hulk.
Okay.
The time, but it is Hulk. It's not Bruce Banner, because you can tell within the story that it's not Bruce in control.
Yes.
Which I really like. I like that, and I guess they kind of touched that on Thor Ragnarok in a way
They
too,
did, yeah.
because like the two of them are very distinct personalities, and I love characters that are essentially two people inhabiting one body,
Mm-hmm.
and they can control them at different times, but they're still there, kind of observing it, but they're not there.
Yeah.
There, and I think that's really interesting, and to see him as like, maybe not Bruce Banner intelligent, but an intelligent being that just also happens to be very strong and angry, and maybe a little more impulsive,
Yeah.
and not really care about people. I mean, he cares, but in the sort of
weird.
like,
Yeah.
I'm doing my own thing. I care about me. JK, you're my friend.
Yeah.
We're war bound. I'll help you out.
Yeah.
But to see that was really really cool, and to see, and I haven't read anything that was Hulk focused before. I've read things that have Hulk in it a little bit, or I've watched, the Marvel movies, and so that's my exposure to him. But when we went into this, I'd heard great things about this book, and I wasn't expecting to like it so much. I wasn't expecting to connect with the Hulk so much. I certainly, I was rooting for him the entire time, and especially at the end, which we'll get to. I was like, yeah, you kick some ass.
Yes.
You've earned this.
Yes.
This is bullshit. Please.
I love
loved it.
I love that you two are getting into the testosterone-driven book. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like to be a guy.
Well, and the fighting was great too, because I don't often care for the action in a lot of books.
Yeah, you like the dialogue.
I feel like fighting can be drawn out. It's hard to do that in a narrative way and still make it interesting and drive the story, because sometimes it's just fighting for fighting's sake, and I don't care about that. And I love stuff like DBZ and I love all that, but it can be a little too much. But I think they did a really good job of that in this one, and I loved all the politics that were going on that planet, and a lot of those bigger issues like race. I loved it. It was great.
Yeah, I think that's what made us connect to the comic in other ways that I hadn't before. It's just, there was that fighting, but it was in the context of a bigger picture. And I think that's what really drew me to it. And we all know that's what Hulk does, is he fights. And so to be able to use his fighting skills for something good and not just to save the Avengers or to help the Avengers out, but actually save an entire planet, and kill the Red Emperor. I just think that's an interesting way to show it. And what I like about it, because you touched upon the two different characters, is usually we always see, like with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Mr. Hyde is definitively the bad guy, and there's not a lot of good to him, right? And Jekyll's the good guy, yeah. But in this one, you kind of see the Hulk's not a bad guy. He's just, like you said, impulsive, and he still has feelings. Does it make you sad?
Yes, it does. Sad now you think about
yes.
Well, for both of them.
Yes, I feel bad. And because there's those parts in the book where Banner tries to come out, and they have the little, that dream interlude with Jarella, who I'm still not quite sure. I'm thinking old girlfriend.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then that scene with Kyra Oldstrong. Is that how you pronounce her name? Yeah, when they, she wants to see his whole self, and that's when he lets Banner out. I mean, ugh, yeah.
That's such a good scene too.
Yeah, I know it's tagged.
Man, and I know we're gonna talk about other stuff, but real quick, how suave was Hulk? He's like, no, I don't need this. I need a queen.
Yes. Oh, that was a great line. Yes. He's like, I don't want a shadow. I want a queen. This is awesome.
Wow, you two are hitting all the high notes of the book. It's awesome. The only thing I would add that I really liked as an old reader was the fact how all these characters are tied in. where they're all talking with through Meek's little thing. They're talking about
Oh yeah,
like
the heart thing.
Yeah.
like Korg, for example. His people
Funny.
have fought Thor before, so he was telling them about how he fought a god before. And the Brood are an X-Men villain. Yeah, they're alien ripoffs, but they talk a little bit how they've met the human and how the Brood have almost become extinct because
Yeah.
during this time, Annihilation is starting too. So that's why
Okay.
you don't really see Annihilation. I'm sorry, the Brood during the Annihilation stuff, nor during that whole saga until towards the end, because they've almost become extinct due to whatever she said was happening. So I thought that was really cool how they became the Warbound, and they were like, "Nah, we got each other's backs. No matter what, this is how we do." I thought that was awesome. There were so many moments of brotherhood that you see in war. I thought it was played out really well here. It was almost like reading the fall of the Roman Empire in a way, the way that he just comes into this planet and society's just falling apart because it's so divided. Slaves and people, and to an extent, some of those heroes or some of those characters that wanted to free the slaves just wanted more slaves, but different kind of slaves. But anyway, no, you two are rocking it. So like somebody stated in the chat, so you two keep going.
Thank you.
When you said the Roman Empire, I'm like, it's like Sparta if he had actually won to a certain point and did.
Well, but did he win though? So let's
Oh yeah.
I know.
Let's keep going. So he's formed this war bound that they were like, no matter what, we got each other's backs. We can't kill each other. And I love the way that they form it around the dead guy's body too, like the guy that lost his arm during that bomb. And Hulk's like, man, fuck that bomb. I'm the Hulk. And he just smashes the bomb while everybody down there is like, holy shit, he just smashed a bomb, because they don't know what they're dealing with really. Yeah. He is slowly gaining his strength back, because when he first appears through that portal, it took it out of him. That's why the Red King was able to defeat him so easily. And then when they put the obedient disc on him, he was he was still weak. But I thought that was really cool. And you two said exactly what I was going to bring up, is how much of Thor Ragnarok was comes from this. Not just a lot of the elements of the story, but the characterizations too. I'm not talking about Korg or Meek, because obviously they're not
not at all.
They're not comedic characters in here.
No,
Meek,
definitely not.
I mean, Meek starts off as a little weakling, and then he kind of becomes a King Meek badass.
Yeah.
But
Korg did have a couple of
what's a
little
sandwich?
lines that were funny.
Asking, what's a sandwich? Oh, that was Meek. Meek kept asking, what's a sandwich?
Sandwich, yeah.
Yeah, or he asked about what did he do? He mentioned about a date between Hulk and Kyra. It's like, what do you think the second date will be like, or something? But that was the only kind of funny thing.
Yes, the only joke he made, and it's definitely not the Korg from Thor.
Oh no! But I'm glad they did that with Thor Ragnarok. I thought that was perfect.
But
although now I'm sad about Meek, because I wish that he had some more. That's okay.
Oh, but he's so good at the end of Thor Ragnarok when he's like, "Oh, Meek's dead." I thought whatever. That's one of my favorite parts, because he's asking him where he wants to go. It's still one of my favorite parts.
Okay. I remember sitting in the movie theater when I heard Korg speak, and I was like, no. I think I was the only one that knew who Korg was out of the group that went with us. And my wife was like, what's going on? I'm like, that's fucking Korg, and he's awesome in the comic books, and they're going to make him into a comedic. But I ended up loving it, because, you kind of have to separate the two genres. You can't, movies are one thing, and that's awesome, and they're rocking it out. But comic books have always been a different thing, and it's a different medium that, it's its own beast. So
and this is
they did a good job with the Hulk in there, though. I feel like
he was a lot
just kind of sidestepping the more movie stuff. Now that I'm thinking back to I love Thor Ragnarok, because comedic, funny stuff I really like. But
me too.
I feel like they really made Hulk seem like the Hulk himself, not Bruce Banner, much more complicated and having his own emotions and his own agency, Yes. And I feel like that's very much reflected in Planet Hulk, and to see that in Thor Ragnarok was really neat. Now looking back, even though he's not as intelligent, you could tell he's I'm very much my own person. I'm not just Bruce Banner's subconscious or whatever. I'm my own person. But
no, I agree. I mean, obviously, it doesn't get as dramatic for Hulk, and that's because it's a Thor movie. It's not a Hulk movie, and I don't think they'll ever do a maybe. I never say never.
And now I wish they would. Now that I've read this,
but something like this,
have one.
but something like this, and not going back to what they've done before. Because I just think, yeah, what they did with Hulk and the Planet Hulk was amazing. I really just loved.
So there were a lot of emotional moments in this book.
Oh, I already
know
told you.
Amanda got a little teary-eyed when she was explaining.
Yes, I did.
Of course, you were a little drunk when you were telling me too, but
No, I was not a little drunk when I told you.
Oh no, you were starting to tear up when we were drinking, and you're like,
"Oh yeah, I did."
Like, okay, so it's this part right here where Kara's stronghold is holding the child.
Yes. Oh my god.
Drops the bomb.
Can we talk? She's so great.
Look at that. That's so cold. Like she literally is holding the child's ashes. And
I know it was, and it was like late at night. I'm sitting in bed with my daughter. She's sleeping next to me. It's like midnight, and I get to the part, and I was like, "Wait a minute, what? How is this? This is a comic book movie, and there's like that child just disintegrated in her arms, or comic book, and it just. I wanted to text you right then, but I didn't respect your sleeping, so I waited to text you till the next day. But oh man, that got me. Yep.
Well, like every character in this, which is why I really like. They're all so complicated, and they've all got such complicated and like sad backstories, or stories that will become really, really sad, which I love. I hate it for them, but as a reader, it's very moving and it helps you connect a lot. But each and every one of them, like Kyra's, I mean, gosh, how sad was that? Like her whole people died from the spikes, and then she's like working for this empire and everything else, and then it's like, sucks for you. We're saying the spikes now, and she's like, oh my god,
yeah,
and she's trying to protect everybody, and still like work with that oath, and it's so sad. I love her.
I know.
She's so cool.
And that's what I liked about how all these different monsters, minus I think the Red Emperor is the true monster, but like everyone, you think the spikes are bad, right? And it's just, no, they also have been imprisoned by this emperor, right? And it's just, they just need to feed. And that's another scene that I love when after they finally defeat the emperor and they're feeding off the Hulk. That scene right there, and she's like, and Kyle Olstrong's like holding on to him. Oh, that is a great scene too.
Oh, that's the theme of this. That's so good. It's like everyone's more than they seem they are. It seemed to be. Like the Hulk is much more complicated than just some big green monster guy.
Yeah.
And Meek is so much more than just this little bug
with knives for arms. Yeah.
Yeah, and Kyla's not just some hardened soldier, or Kyra, whatever her name is.
Whatever. And,
and everyone has their own motivations. Even when you think somebody is, truly noble, they have their own motivations still too. Like, Meek has a lot of tragedy to work through, and so does, I have their names up so I can remember. So does Hello and everyone else, because they're fighting for this cause, they're fighting against the Empire, but they still have their own prejudices that they're dealing with.
Yes. I care about a character named the Brood. Like, that's crazy. I don't care about the Brood. And Greg Pak's story made me care about that character. I was like, what?
Oh, yeah.
That she doesn't even have a name. She doesn't even have a name.
She doesn't.
Her name's just Brood.
Yeah.
But the events of this were so awesome because the entire time you forget that and I think that's why I enjoy this. And Philip Evans is in the chat right now, and he's the one that suggested reading this. So this was a wonderful suggestion. Thank you, Philip, because you forget that he's from Earth. You forget that he's part of the Avengers. He really wasn't at the time. You forget that he had to deal with all this crap on Earth because this is like starting over anew, which is what a lot of people want to do. You want to get away from everything, and this is literally starting a new life on a different planet with different friends, like in a different girl, which is awesome. Good for Hulk, and he totally gets the smash. Ah!
Oh, jeez.
Okay. Come on, like no one was thinking.
It's over. Goodbye, guys.
Oh, whatever. You're not above that.
That's true. I'd make that joke too. It's fine.
I was waiting for it. So yeah, there's this whole beautiful scene y'all were talking about where she knows that the Hulk is not this big giant creature, that he's actually, a weak, smart guy named Bruce Banner. I thought that was great. Then, you get after knocking boots, you get the we had some great sex. We just walk around and like robes on, all buck naked, taking Jello shots and stuff. Man, I love that. Drinking Kool-Aid. Anyway, sorry.
didn't see the Kool-Aid, but
But
I'm
Yeah.
gonna miss that.
Never mind. So I can't give something away that happens in War Hulk, but you kind of find out how the planet ends up blowing up, right? At the end of this, like, everything's happy, and of course the Hulk can't be happy because he has finally found happiness. Kyra Oldstrong is pregnant with his child, and it's pretty wicked because he's got all these memories of all the people that he's lost in his life. Like, he lost Betty Ross. He lost what was her name? Lyra, the alien girl from the Small World. Jarella. Thank you. His friend Jim Wilson. His friend. That is such a beautiful story by Peter David, where he's dying of AIDS, and the Hulk won't give him his blood because he's afraid of what he'll become. Like, he could save his friend's life, and he'd rather sit there and just watch his friend die. And that was in the 90s when that was written. That was a beautiful story. But yeah, he's remembering all these things that he's lost in his life. So he's finally got this moment of happiness that lasts, 3 days, I think, into the reign of the Hulk. Yeah. And then the ship that brought him here from Earth, the ship created by the Illuminati, ends up blowing up.
Yep.
And ends up blowing up, like, the entire planet.
Yeah.
So the Warbound are like, fuck that. You know who's at fault. You know whose ass we got to go kick.
Yep.
So devastating.
It's Tony Stark.
And this last shot of Hulk, not in the spaceship, on a spaceship.
On top of the spaceship.
Like, going to go and kick Black Bolt's ass, and that's where War Hulk takes place.
And I'm totally for it. I'm just so angry.
Yes, never have I disliked.
Gosh, he was happy. He finally found a place for him of people that, love him. And he's making, like, just fantastic progress in society and really changing things for people and doing it in a peaceful way. And they're like, nope, sucks to be you.
Yeah.
Like, everything sucks for you now. I was so mad. I was like, yeah, I'm ready for you to kill everybody. I'm mad at that whole crew. Just go back, beat the shit out of them. That's fine. Yeah.
I will say, issue 1 is very satisfying. You're like, oh fuck yes, this is what I've wanted. Like, really? the entire time. I think I did one of the earliest episodes I did of Near Mint Condition was talk about my top 10 favorite crossovers, and War Hulk was on my top 10. And because of certain scenes within that series, that I'm like, this is what I've been wanting to see for a long time. Just good old fashioned ass whoopings that these characters deserve.
Yeah, they deserve it. I'm ready.
And
knock them off their pedestal, and I'm still mad about the whole.
That's why the Illuminati never made any sense to me, anyway.
When this is happening, Civil War is also happening.
Yeah, right? So
they've already enacted.
Okay. He's in space, and that's why he was not part of the Civil War.
And
which I found it funny.
Annihilation's at the same time. So yeah, Annihilation all of this is going on.
Yeah, Annihilation started
simultaneously.
2006, I think. So all this is happening, and at the time it felt like the editors at Marvel were talking to each other. They're like, hey, you can't use the Brood in this story because this is what's happening in Hulk. And the Hulk obviously cannot be in Civil War, so find someone else. So I thought that was really cool that back then at least they were talking a little bit. But yeah, that's where it ends, and I absolutely love the ending of this because nobody makes the Hulk happy. It only lasted a couple of issues before he lost his wife and kid, and he has to come back to Earth
and
to
some of his friends.
Bring the pain on.
Like, I would have read. I mean, it's really good writing, and I'm really excited for World War Hulk. But man, I would have read a whole story about Hulk just rebuilding that planet.
Yes.
I was like, yeah, this is fine. I can read this.
That is your kind of story, Maddie.
It is my kind of story. Just let my people be happy. Just have mundane, nothing actually is going on. I'll read this. That's perfect.
Sure.
She wants baby Hulks running around.
The character has been around for 40 years. Gets happiness. Actually, spoilers. Maybe you'll get to see that a little bit in World War Hulk. Unfortunately,
Hulk be a dad? I want Hulk to be a dad.
Well, unfortunately, the events of World War Hulk led into this series called Red Hulk by Jeff Loeb. Now, Jeff Loeb did an amazing job with a lot of the DC stuff that he wrote, like the Batman Dark Victory and Long Halloween and the Haunted Night stuff, and then Batman Hush. But his Marvel stuff, especially the Hulk book, was so dumbed down. It was called Red Hulk. It just was not good. Like, I didn't like it. I like the art, and that's why I picked it up. But that's one that I really don't recommend until Jeff Parker comes in and takes over. Now, Greg Pak kept writing Incredible Hercules because that's who takes over the title. Him and Amadeus Cho,
Okay.
and they kind of have like a Defenders reunion with Valkyrie. Y'all probably don't know what I'm talking about. Never mind.
No,
But
we know
anyway,
who Valkyrie is. We just don't know
well, yeah,
anything about
they were characters in the team called the Defenders, and
Oh, I know the Defenders.
okay, well they kind of had like
show.
No, none of those
That
guys.
was
None
me.
of those guys.
No,
None of
He's not talking
no,
about Daredevil and all that.
no. I'm sorry. Yeah, like old school Defenders, like
Old school
Valkyrie.
Defenders.
But anyway, they kind of have a reunion in that book, and that's actually a good title too. Him and Fred Van Lente wrote Incredible Hercules. It went on for quite a few issues, and then it got canned. But I really enjoy that stuff. So I think it, without question, you two would keep reading. You would want to know the events in World War Hulk, right?
Yeah.
No, I already told you I do, yes.
And I'd like to read more about Amadeus Cho too, because man, that kid was really cool. Like, I'm glad that he let Mr. Fantastic, what is that his name? I don't even know. I'm glad he let him have it.
Yes, right? That was great.
Yeah. So Amadeus Cho is a character that Greg Pak introduces, and to this day, see, I can't, because this was 2006 when this book was coming out.
Yeah.
So that's 12 years ago. A lot of things have happened.
Is he still the 7th smartest?
I love that they call him that. Yes, he is.
Is it like a ranking like that, like DC has with Mr. Terrific, who's just the third?
The third smartest.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I never found out in DC, like, was it Lex Luthor that's the smartest?
Yes.
Who's the smartest? But
Lex Luthor's the smartest.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I kind of figured.
I think.
Yeah.
But Amadeus Cho has grown as a character. He's still himself, but without giving too much away with what happens, he's a lot different too.
Yeah.
Bruce, never mind. Maybe. I'll let you find out bad stories for yourself. There's some bad things that happen later on that people got pissed about, but a lot of that has been turning around for the better, though, because characters are coming back now, and that's good. So good. I'm glad that you all enjoyed it, and again, thank you to Philip Evans for suggesting this awesome book. It was a lot of fun to go back and reread. I haven't read it since it was coming out. I read them as they were coming out, and it was such a fun time to be reading comics because it kind of got. To me, the Hulk hadn't been written well in years since Peter David left. Because after Peter David left, I believe it was like Paul Jenkins, and then who's it? Brian? Was it Jones, the guy that wrote a lot of the horror stories for Creepy Magazine? What was his name? Anyway, I hadn't enjoyed a good Hulk story since Greg Pak came on board, so thought that was pretty good. Now let's see. So yeah, let's take it to the chat. Let's see what did everybody else enjoy Planet Hulk as much as we did? Did anybody hate it? Did people not like it? Or if you're not on the chat, leave the comment down below, please. Because I'm curious to see if people didn't like it because maybe it didn't feel like Hulk to them because he was up in space fighting a civil war somewhere else and not here on Earth where he should be smashing things. But while we do that, while we're waiting on the response, I was thinking since I'm going to be gone for a couple of weeks towards the end of June, that if you all wanted to, and if you're free next Tuesday, maybe we could read something short for next week. Like I was thinking Batman Year One, like go back to DC and do like Batman Year One, see how that holds up compared to. It has been a long time for me since I read it, and a lot of things. That is like the very first post-crisis book to have come out, retelling the origin of Batman. That is Frank Miller and what is his name? The guy that did Born Again. Anyway, he has a very similar Frank Miller art style. So I was thinking we do that. Is that cool? Next Tuesday we talk about Frank Miller.
Yeah, I'm excited to read some Batman.
Batman Year One.
I'm excited to read that.
Now, it's called Year One because it is the origin of Batman, and it's his first year as Batman.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. And there's not a lot of Batman in there. Maybe towards the end there is, but it's really cool how he's able to retell this origin from a character that had at the time been around, geez, almost 60 years.
Everyone likes a good origin story every now and then.
Let's see. Brainiac is the smartest being, but I think Lex. Wait, that's Maddie.
Sorry, I was just
Flying back.
responding to that.
Hickman is
Oh,
about
yeah.
the only guy to make me not think Reed Richards is a giant tool. Yeah, I like the way that Jonathan Hickman writes him, but I also like some of Tom DeFalco's stuff. Like I thought his stuff was pretty good. Or the uncollected Chris Claremont run on Fantastic Four. He makes it more of a family man than this really smart. Massive
Yeah.
Kelly. Thank you, Clark Nato. That guy. Yes, that's the artist. Hulk needs to join the Guardians. Oh my god, I would love that.
That'd be
That would
really
be
good.
amazing.
Honestly, like that'd be a really neat team up, especially him with like Drax.
Drax, yeah, the two of them. That'd be
So-
a good
Yeah.
team up.
E. Tyler is saying, I always felt like it was a little too much like Gladiator, the movie, or maybe just too Gladiator cliche. But I like Planet Hulk. He didn't love it. But E. Tyler, I love movies about gladiators. That's a joke from Airplane. Showing my age. Never mind.
No, I mean, I can see where he's coming from on that. It has a lot of gladiator elements. We were just talking about how it reminds you of the Roman Empire, and I reminded me of Sparta. So, yeah, I see those elements in there, and I
Okay.
see if you know.
Okay, cool. Well, I guess we'll take it to the chat and ask if you all have any questions for these two ladies, since they only appear once every 2 weeks, and you all get to see me
Yeah.
a lot more. So yeah, Batman Year One. I think that's a good choice, and then we can talk about what Marvel book to read for the next one. I kind of want to do the Infinite Crisis stuff like as a weekly thing because it's so much.
Yeah.
Because you have the pre-countdown to Infinite Crisis, then you have a countdown to Infinite Crisis, and then you actually have the Infinite Crisis event. And you think that would be good, like split up into 2 weeks or something?
That
Because
sounds good to me.
Because there's a lot to take in, and I think it would help understand the story more of Infinite Crisis reading those countdown books. But I also want to do Crisis on Infinite Earths before we do that, so you'll understand like where some of these characters that play a major role in Infinite Crisis and a lot of other DC books came from, where they've been and things like that. It's kind of a confusing start to a book.
Yeah. Well, I have a question for you, Maddie. Do you think we always ask this every time about if this was a good book for like someone who's new or unfamiliar with comics? What was your sense on it as far as were you confused by a lot of it, or were you able to, I mean, and I'll answer too, but I was just thinking to ask that question. You know what?
Oh yeah, I think you'd totally just jump right in. Like I would definitely recommend this to someone because even if you don't know about everyone,
Yes.
you know, I think it's a very good standalone story for sure. Because even for people who, I guess, people like us, you haven't read any Hulk before this, but maybe know about him in general.
Yeah.
It's not like the Hulk you think you know.
Yeah.
Like I think if you didn't know anything about any of this, you'd be just fine jumping right in. And they do a really good job of giving a backstory to everyone, even characters that you like the Hulk that
Didn't
maybe
expect
you
to get
already
one.
know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think this is great. It's
Yeah.
definitely easy for a new reader.
Yeah, I felt the same way. I mean, even if, coming in, you knew a little bit about it and you knew what to expect because of the different movies and prior comics that you might have read, it's still, there's still so much with the banner back and forth that gives you the backstory a little bit that if you're a good reader, you can read through it and understand where that backstory is going. And then, yeah, everyone has a backstory. So it wasn't like, okay, just know who that character is because they're going to be important later, but we're not going to tell you why, what their motivations are. So I think I really liked that aspect of it. I love I really did love this one.
Good. I like to hear I love this.
Yeah.
Being it's like one that you have never read. I think it's great. Um, so there's a suggestion for Avengers Disassembled.
Oh, you want me to? Well, I have that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Bendis. That's the beginning of the Bendis
The
stuff.
Bendis, right? Yeah.
That sets up his new Avengers run. I don't know. I mean, you two haven't read much Avengers. I just read that. I think in January or late last year with Jess and Gabe on Omnibros. Maybe I'm curious to see what you two think. But
it's on my reading list.
It's on your reading list, yeah.
Well, yeah, because I mean, I've already read that the new Avengers, Infinity, and then Avengers, all that leads up to Secret Wars. So I've already read all that. I think I could read, and I know I want to read another Avengers run of something different. So.
Well, it's a lot. It's not as lengthy or dialogue heavy as per Hickman's Avengers. It's a lot different. Honestly, it's a good. I always suggest reading this as a good starting on point for people that don't read Avengers. As much as I hate on Bendis, because it's just an easy read, and you don't need to know a lot about the characters. All you need to know is that Spider-Man's a wise ass, Wolverine's a badass, and Captain America's boss. That's pretty much the way he almost writes the characters. But anyway, let's see. Trish said, "I think the original Crisis is a good idea for a read, but be prepared for questions. Lots of questions." Philip Evans, thank you so much for the nice compliment.
Yeah, thank you, Philip.
Clark Nato is asking, when are we going to make the jump over to Hellboy? Man, I'd love to do some.
Hell, why not?
I love to. Honestly, actually, I didn't realize this till recently, but I haven't seen the movies either. So if we decide we want to read it, I think I'd like to read it first and see
especially before the new one comes out.
Of it.
You haven't seen any of the Guillermo del Toro stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they're actually really good.
They're really good.
That's what I heard. I don't know how I missed it, honestly, but I was like, well, if we end up reading it, I'd like to see.
Yeah.
At the time those movies were coming out, they probably got lost in a bunch of the mutants and superhero stuff.
Yes, it came out during all of that, and it's, But when does the new one come out with the guy, I can't think of his name right now, the guy from Stranger Things who plays the sheriff? I can't think of his name.
Oh, and it's got Neil Marshall. Yeah, and Neil Marshall's directing it, who's one of my favorite directors of all time.
Cool.
So when we should definitely do some Hellboy before that comes out for both of us. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Because it's been a long time since I've seen.
And the good thing about Hellboy is that Hellboy you can just jump in with the first 3 volumes, because I've got the library editions, and that's what they contain. Are like the first 3 volumes in each one, and I mean they're not like in chronological order. Well, I guess they kind of are in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, that opens up a whole new world, because then you got BPRD, Ape Sapien, and all these awesome.
Yeah, I remember seeing a lot of the omnibus, like in the omnibus collectors group, right, posting about what BPRD is. What you said.
BPRD volume.
Everyone was posting about that. So it got released or something.
The hardcovers of volume 3 or 4 is completely out of print. It's one of the most rarest books. Yeah, that's probably what you're talking about. Of Plague of Frogs.
David Harbour. Thank you, Carter.
Yeah, the guy from
Stranger Things. It's January 11th, 2019 is when it's expected to come out.
Oh, we'll be done with that long before then. But yeah, the guy that did Neil Marshall is like one of my favorite directors. He's able to take like a small budget and make it look like an awesome movie. Like he did was it Doomsday? He did The Descent. He did a couple of my favorite episodes on Game of Thrones. The what was it? The water in the second season. The what the hell is it called? The Dragonfire episode 9 in season 2, where Tyrion throws the boats on fire.
Oh gosh, what's that episode called?
Anyway, he did that, and then the battle at the wall in season 2.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's an awesome. I love his stuff. So I'm excited about that movie.
Yeah.
So Hellboy is a good recommendation. So for now, next Tuesday we will be doing Batman Year One, and then either a Saturday or the following Tuesday, we will be doing a Marvel book, and then maybe jumping around with other stuff. So, thank you everybody for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
And if y'all have any more words, go ahead. Say good night, whatever you want to say.
Sign us up, guys. Sign us up. Okay, I'll sign you off. Everyone, thank you for joining us. It has been a pleasure as always. We will see you on Tuesday with some Batman Year One. And thanks for listening and commenting and just being a great audience. We appreciate it.
Good night, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Night.
Blackwater, that's what it was called. It was called Blackwater.
Blackwater, yes. Ah, crap. I can't believe this. And that other guy asked about Spawn, but